What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bios3 Raw TV. Of course, you know, I saw the big RAMY cycle going around and didn't really think much about it until I think Boston Lloyd posted it somewhere. And, you know, I didn't think much about it, but then, of course, you know, YouTubers start talking about the shit, so next thing you know, you get emails and questions about, you know, and you get enough of them, you're just like, fuck it, I'm not going to keep replying to these, because I fucking suck when I type. I'm just much better off just talking. So, Jerry, what do you think about Big RAMY's P.E.D cycle, and do you think it's real? I'm going to go on record right now and say, first of all, nobody knows what Big RAMY's doing except for Big RAMY and probably Dennis James. Those are probably like the only two guys who legitimately know. Even the rest of the guys in DJ's camp don't know what the fuck he's doing. I'm telling you right now. He's not telling this one what that one's doing, this one what this one's doing. He's not doing any of that right now. So basically, only DJ knows and RAMY, and that's just how that is. Now, here's the thing. I not only did performance-enhancing drugs, but I also did heroin, which is multiple shots a day. Now, Mark Lowblighter made a good point where this guy would have to take like 10 shots a day of stuff. And there was a point where I didn't want to do shots. I mean, I had to do shots because I would get sick because I was on heroin. And if you don't take the shots, you get ill. And you don't want to do the shots anymore, so you're forced to take them. Okay, so now you're doing your heroin shots. Now you also have to do your steroid shots or your performance-enhancing drug shots at the same time. And because of the fact that I didn't want to do that many shots, what I would do is take the Brovel, Tornel, Norandrin, and Testosterona 200, and I would do whole bottles at a time. So 2,000 milligrams, which really came out to be about 1,200 milligrams, all in, you know, a couple. I'd fill up 5cc syringes and, you know, whack those once a week rather than do multiple shots a week. Where is if RAMY's doing this, he's going to be taking probably, what is it, 5 grams of test alone. That's 2.5 bottles of that stuff a week. That's 25 cc's right there. Right there, just of that one thing. Now, not only is he going to be putting this stuff in his body multiple times a day, multiple times per week, but the swelling, the irritation in the muscle, the jabbing time after time, he's not going to feel very good. I mean, I hated it, and, you know, when you're on heroin, you don't even want to poke yourself again with that next needle, but you have to, and you're forced to do it. So I'm thinking, like, if I was shooting up 6 or 7 times a day, and I was forced to, and I didn't like it, would this guy be motivated enough to do it? I mean, I don't know. I don't know him. I mean, there's a good possibility that, you know, he wants it so bad that, you know, he could do it, but the probability, I think, is pretty low of this. I think, honestly, first of all, the guy's just a genetic freak. We know that he's not normal. There's only one of this guy so far. I mean, even Ronnie Coleman had a different look than this guy. He's got a different look than everyone else. It's just the way he was born. And people, you know, see his before and afters, and they think that's attributed to this gigantic, you know, drug intake. Like, oh, he takes more shit than everybody else. But, you know, people can say the same thing about Kai Green. He takes more shit than everybody else, or this one or that one, or whatever. And the bottom line is, I think all these guys are taking about the same. And I honestly don't think, honest to God, don't think these guys are taking more than like 2 grams of test as a base. I don't think they're mixing those orals like that at all. Fucking 300 milligrams of Anadrol 50. I know top pros that have taken about 100, 150. They've gone up to 150, and they feel like such absolute ass on 150. You get stomach pains. You get heartburn. It's hard to fucking eat. Now, if you're getting heartburn by taking those orals, which I guess is a toxicity thing that's happened. I don't know. It's never happened to me because I haven't taken that higher dosages. But if you're taking those higher dosages and you can't eat, how the fuck do you maintain that mass? You're trying to tell me the guy doesn't eat now? It's just all the drugs? So now you got to figure he's got to eat, taking the drugs, at the same time worried about, you know, his next shots the next day, having all that shit, you know, traveling. Like, how the fuck would he travel with all that? I mean, you can get prescriptions for things and travel, but the bottom line is you're not getting prescriptions for 25 bottles of test for a week. I mean, is he calling ahead, getting them shipped? Like, who the fuck knows what is going on? But the bottom line is, just like Dorian Yates' cycle when it first came out. Now, he's come out, Dorian himself has come out and talked about it, so therefore, you know, this is supposedly what he used. Kevin Levrone has come out honestly and openly talked about what he did, and what he said in the magazines is exactly what he told me, word for word. Nothing ever changed with him. So either he's a really good liar or he's telling the truth. You know, and a lot of times he would even flat out say, he'd be like, well, I did 3 cc's of this. Like, milligram-wise, they didn't even count milligrams. They were just like, take 2 ampules of this, 2 amps of that. So it'd be like, oh, I take an amp of this, an amp of that. And they weren't even counting milligrams. These guys nowadays are down to the fucking milligram and microgram, talking about, you know, well, these guys must be taking this many milligrams. It wasn't even that thought out back then. It was like, Take 2 amps of Parabolin, take 5 amps of Primatestin Depot, take 2 tablets of Anadrol. They didn't even know the milligram dosages in them. So it's like, it's hard to tell, you know, exactly milligram-wise what they were taking, but they can go back now and say, I was taking 2 amps of Parabolin, and each one had 96 milligrams. It's easy to add it up now, but, you know, these massive dosages, I mean, could it be possible? I think anything is possible. Is it probable? I don't think it's probable. I don't think that's what he's doing. I just honestly don't. I think that these guys have access to very good stuff, and I've seen myself the difference between pharmaceutical grade and underground shit. Would it have to be, you know, underground shit? Maybe he would have to take that much, but it's not that much. It's say that much on the label. I was just having a talk with, you know, a couple guys out in at the Arnold, and they were like, yeah, you know, my buddy was like, oh, you know, I want this 500 milligram test or whatever. And the bottom line was, you can't fit 500 milligrams inside of a CC. You can't do that. There used to be the 400 milligram Dencals that, you know, were made from some Australian pharmacy or whatever. They hurt so fucking bad. They used to swell up like crazy. You can't fit 500. So they're selling this on that it doesn't hurt. Guys are not getting good gains. There's not 500 in it. So what the fuck is really in this stuff? You know, is this something someone made up? Yes. Myostatin blockers. You know, there's a fucking shit ton of myostatin blockers out there. Is this guy on them? I don't know. But could it be very possible that he's not on them and has some kind of weird genetic thing like Ronnie did, that the way he trains, which is not super heavy. The guy is not training super heavy, Ronnie, okay? He's in there doing like these drop sets and constant tension and stuff. And he looks like he's struggling with weights that, you know, most gym rats can handle. You know, he seems to not really eat a whole lot. I don't know what he eats, but what I've seen him eat, it's not a whole lot of food. It's like these videos of him eating like, you know, a chicken breast and a cup of rice or something. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, that's what he's eating? You guys got to take into account that this guy's genetics are to be a bodybuilder. Are they to be the best bodybuilder in the world at some point? Possibly. Who the fuck knows? Nobody knew that Ronnie was going to be, or Jay was going to be, or, well, everybody kind of knew Phil was going to be at some point. You know, and Arnold, I mean, you know, there are certain guys that you can pinpoint, but nowadays, it's hard to tell. You know, the genetic mixing, I guess you would call it, of all the different nationalities and races and stuff that are getting mixed into the world are giving these different types of genetics that's, you know, you can look at one person and say, that person's definitely going to be Mr. Olympia, and they never really progress. You say, this person's never going to be Mr. Olympia, and they do. So, you know, it is what it is. So we're getting too far off on this tangent right now. But my deal, I don't think it's right. I mean, I don't think that's what he's doing. I don't think he's mixing those things together. I think maybe some of the dosages might be on, but I think that, you know, more than likely, the whole cycle as a whole is false. Bios3training@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.bios3training.com is a blog. It's the false cycle bicep. And we're out.